And last but not least is the Super Bowl this year. Super Bowl 53, if I'm not mistaken, which everybody's bitching about. And I thought it was a good Super Bowl. It was very, not that I'm some sort of like Super Bowl connoisseur or anything like that, but, and I wanted it to be the Patriots versus the Saints. So I was a little bummed that didn't happen, to see Breeze and Brady go head to head. But the Pats did make it. I'm the worst Jets fan, right? I'm a Jets fan, and I was actually rooting for Brady and the Pats. But you know what? It's because I respect greatness. It's like I'm a Mets fan, but I always like Derek Jeter. It's like just respect greatness. Anyway, so it was the Pats versus the Rams, and I think the most interesting, if you want to call it that, storyline to the game was the fact that you had the oldest coach in Bill Belichick being 66 years old versus the youngest coach, which is the coach of the Rams, whose name I do not know, that was 33 years old. And Brady's opportunity to win a sixth ring for the ninth time, that, you know, out of 9 times going to the Super Bowl, winning 6 is like bonkers. I think the next record after that is like Joe Montana, I was told, who won 4 rings, and that's from going 4 times to the Super Bowl. Brady's been there 9 times, and he won 6 of them. It's insane. It's definitely the best quarterback ever. But the game, as you guys know, or maybe you don't know, was like a non-scoring game. It was like 3-zip, like in the fucking third quarter, or some shit like that. The first quarter ended 0-0. Second quarter ended 3-0. It was insane. It was a heavy defense type of game, which is like its own type of like cool thing, you know? Like it's not all, it's like watching baseball and only wanting to see home runs, but not appreciating like the small ball aspect to it, or like a shutout being pitched and like no offense, you know, the other team's offense not getting off. It's like, where's the appreciation for like the other side of things, you know, like the defensive side of things? And I think that's just like what the Super Bowl was. It was heavy defense on both sides. Neither offense could really get off, but Brady did enough to clinch the 6th Super Bowl ring for him and Belichick and team. Gronkowski is probably definitely his last year. If not, I think it should be. Like, his body just like must be broken. Like, he's still great because he's Gronk, but his body must be like completely deteriorated. Edelman had a hell of a game. I think he won like the MVP. He had like 140 something reception yards, which from like the pace of the game you probably wouldn't have known, because it felt like a very slow, like nobody scoring type of game. But I saw like a highlights, and there was like 12 or like 15 like separate catches of just like straight Brady Edelman. It's pretty cool. But more important than the actual game, the commercials during the Super Bowl, which I personally enjoy probably just as much, sometimes even more, than the actual game. The halftime show, you guys can miss me with all that shit. I'm not like big on like those like little mini concert fucking shows or whatever. But the commercials is where it's at. Just like the demand for these things and the price point of these commercials, which is what I think like $1 million and a half for like a 15 or 30 second spot, because so many eyeballs are on the Super Bowl, which this was the lowest watched Super Bowl since like 2011, 2010 or something like that, and there were still like 100.3 million viewers. That's like sick. Over 100 million people watched the Super Bowl, and it was the lowest watched Super Bowl in almost a decade. But besides that, so these companies obviously spend a lot of money and they put out like dope commercials, or at least try to. I thought this Super Bowl this year was kind of weak in terms of commercials, but there were two that definitely stood out to me. Three, but the third one is more of like an honorable mention. Two of them that I really liked. The first one, the number one, my favorite one, which is actually, I saw like this commercial like released early online, maybe like a month ago, but I didn't think it was going to be like a Super Bowl commercial, but it was. I definitely appreciated it more like during the Super Bowl. But it was the Walmart commercial, which was promoting their like option to like order your groceries online and then just pick it up curbside, like at a Walmart. And you see all the cars from like all the dope movies going to Walmart to like pick up the groceries. So the Batmobile passes by and shoots like a Gatling gun and grabs the bag of groceries from the Walmart employee that's bringing it out, and just keeps driving and goes by. You have the like truck from Jurassic Park, and there's like a bunch of like little dinosaurs inside of it, and the Walmart employee is like putting the groceries in and like slams the trunk shut before the dinosaurs like jump at her. You have the Dumb and Dumber car, the like pooch van mobile thing from Dumb and Dumber, which is going to the Walmart. You have Bumblebee from Transformers changing into like the punch buggy and like parking at the curbside of Walmart. You have Kit from the Michael Knight show. You have absolutely, of course, the best car ever, which is the DeLorean, the flying DeLorean from Back to the Future. And it was just like a cool, funny commercial. The Scooby-Doo van. Yeah, the Ghostbusters car, which is dope. And like Elmer eating all the groceries and shit. It was dope. That was my number one favorite commercial. Second favorite commercial was this commercial for, I believe, like, no, I don't believe it was for an Audi car. And it was like this guy that goes to, you could tell he's like kind of sort of dreaming, and he sees his grandfather, but you could tell his grandfather was dead. Like his grandfather had passed away, so he's like surprised to see his grandfather, but his grandfather's like welcoming him to his home, which is like on this like kind of farm. And they go out to the barn kind of, and the guy's like kind of like in awe. And he's like seeing his grandfather, and things are kind of sort of out of place because he's like, what the hell are we doing like in this farm type of thing? Or at least this is like his body language, right? In the commercial. And the grandfather's like, I got something for you. And he takes him out to the barn, and there's a car under like a tarp, and then he pulls the tarp off, and it's this really cool new Audi. And the guy's like in awe, and then he sits in the car, and he's about to turn it on, and then he like gets like jerked back. He's like in the driver's seat, and he like jerks back, and then he jerks back again, and then the camera pans away from that to where he really is in his cubicle at work, and this lady behind him is giving him the Heimlich maneuver because he's choking on a cashew. And while he was like choking and passed out, it was that he was like imagining this whole like dream sequence thing with the Audi and his grandfather, and that was pretty funny. So that commercial was pretty good. And the last like honorable mention, but those are definitely my top two. But the honorable mention, I would say, is there was like a series of TurboTax commercials. There was like 2 or 3 of them. They were pretty funny with this like robot that had like a semi-human face on it. The robot was saying things like they want to grow up to be a CPA, and the quote father was saying that she can't be because she's not a real person, and then she says she feels like one, and then he says, sorry, no, you can't be, something like that, and the robot's like, oh, I'm so sad, ha 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 ha, and then he's like, yeah, still working on her emotions, and whatever. It's a TurboTax commercial, and I'm not doing it justice, but it was an honorable mention. I thought it was pretty cool and funny. Anyway, folks, that is episode 119 of the Spun Today Podcast.